Raider Nation, let's take a trip down memory lane. Let's do a Raiders Report mailbag. And I want you to know that all these questions that we have answered are from our live show May 9th. The way that you get on one of our mailbags is by using hashtag Raiders or super chatting when we go live. We go live every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And if we hit 1,000 likes today, I'm going to do another mailbag next week. We started doing these shows a long time ago because I wanted to see the questions that the nation would ask me, and then we would turn them into a cut. So this YouTube channel was kind of built on this idea. So if you enjoyed today's show and we get to 1,000 likes on this video, we're going to do another mailbag next week. Let's go to Ed Roberts, who got this thing started off with a bang. Why do people think Trevor Lawrence is better than Gardner Minshew? Minshew has better stats in his first 3 years, and he had a worse team than Trevor. I think that people think that he's better, and I'll be honest, I do think that Trevor Lawrence is better than Gardner Minshew. I don't want you to always just look at stats. I think like a lot of times stats just kind of cloud people's judgment. I'll also say that Trevor Lawrence has battled probably more injuries than what Gardner has. On top of that, when Gardner has played his stats, it's a lot easier for a quarterback to have success in short stints than for longevity. And the reason why that I say that is because you get more tape, you get more defensive coordinators figure out your strengths and weaknesses a little bit more. There's just more evidence, concrete things that they can show their defense, say, hey, like this is how we slow this guy down. Where Gardner, yes, has also played essentially the exact same amount of games, but it's such different looks from different coaches, different teams, that I do think it's a little bit more difficult. But like, if I were to tell people, hey, the Las Vegas Raiders had Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, I think people would put us in that Super Bowl caliber conversation. Don't sleep on Gardner. He's not an elite quarterback. He's an average, below average starter. And with this defense, I think we can achieve some pretty damn good things. Let's go to Cameron. What up, Cam? Mitch, should we make a splash trade for Dak or Trevor Lawrence or even Jordan Love? Out of the three names that you mentioned here, actually the name that I think is the most likely to get traded or not on his team next season is Dak Prescott. Though the Raiders should have listened to me 2 years ago when I said we should go out and trade for Jordan Love. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a YouTuber. Trevor Lawrence ain't going anywhere. Jordan Love ain't going anywhere. In fact, I think Trevor and Jordan Love both get $50 million contracts here pretty soon. Dak, whether you like it or not, it's the most realistic option. I like this question a lot, so I want to know from y'all. I want you to rank these quarterbacks right here. Trevor Lawrence, Gardner Minshew, and Dak Prescott. I'll say this. If I had to rank these QBs, I would say at number 1, Dak. At number 2, Trevor Lawrence. At number 3 is Gardner Minshew. Let's go to Eric M. rolling in here on the show. Trizzy said that there is no way the Saints trade Lattimore. Is there another corner we can trade for? It's crazy because I asked the company, who's a trade candidate for all your teams? And Trace said Marshawn Lattimore. So I would say another player potentially is a Paulson Adebo is the name that he's thrown out there to me. James Bradbury is a name that I've said before. Trey Brown is a name that I've said before. Ambry Thomas from the 49ers is another name that I've thrown out there before. I actually did a video around 10 trade targets that the Raiders could do. I want to say that I did it last week. Go check it out. It's a lot of defensive guys, some offensive guys thrown in there as well, a linebacker. I make a lot of videos. But to me, just because I still think there's a chance that the Saints trade Marshawn Lattimore. Let's go to my man Ron Raspberry, who cuts his own hair. It's kind of a ballsy thing to cut your own hair. Though Ron did a pretty damn good job. Do you think we're going to sign a top corner or no? If I'm the Raiders and I know that there's no rush, and one of the interesting things, Stephon Gilmore talked to the media and was like, if I was 28 years old, I probably would have already signed already, but because I'm a little bit older, I want to make sure that I'm getting the perfect fit. If I'm AP and Telesco, I go, all right, let's look at how minicamp goes. If the Camry and Richardson, MJ Devonshire go out and they're like, all right, these guys are pretty effing good, maybe there's no need to go out and trade or sign one of these top guys. But, like, based on what I truly believe in my heart of hearts, I still think that the Raiders go out and they sign a corner by the end of this offseason that is our true number 1 starting corner for this team. Let's go to Patrick Starr, or maybe Pinhead. Should the Raiders bring back Hunter Renfrow for cheap? Oh, the Hunter Renfrow stuff will never stop. My answer is no. And to me, for anybody that wants Hunter Renfrow back, for anybody that's like, can we please bring back 3rd and Renfrow? The Raiders said, I get you. I'm going to take your Renfrow and I'm going to raise you a glass of Brock Bowers. Like, everything that Hunter Renfrow is good at, Bowers does better. And he's cheaper. He's younger. He's healthier. He's stronger. Like, you have your starting slot guy in Brock Bowers, and I get it. Renfrow was man, there's not a single Raider fan alive that doesn't root for Renfrow. It's not a fan of Hunter. But I think also you got to be able to peel back that, beer goggles a little bit and say, over the past few seasons, Renfrow hasn't been a good receiver, even when he has been healthy. So even if you were to tell me we could get Hunter Renfrow on a deal like we got Michael Gallup, I'm good where we're at. I wish the best for Hunter. I hope that he has a long, successful NFL career. I just don't think it makes any sense for the Raiders to bring him in. If you want wall-to-wall coverage all year long, hit that subscribe button. If you're looking for honest Raiders content, I'm your guy. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. There's going to be some people that would probably say, yes, let's go get Hunter Renfrow. Let's bring him back on the team. Let's recreate it. Not going to be that guy. I want people to talk to me like an adult, and I want people to tell me the truth. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Whether you like that information or whether you don't, I just hope that we're able to have an adult conversation and actually be able to sit down and talk about it like a family member. Just because we disagree doesn't mean we have to fight. We can disagree, but let's talk like adults. That's what we do here on the Raiders Report, and that's why I want you to subscribe. I also got to give a shout-out to the Noti gang. I got Truman, Ron, Matt, Nick McBride, and then Raiders Honcho. Thank you guys so much for not only hitting that subscribe button, but taking pride in being one of the first people to comment on our videos. It does help us out a lot, and it's the way that we can continue to make this thing keep on rocking and rolling here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to my man Juice89. Dylan Laube, RB1, Trey Tucker ain't getting traded. He's a field stretcher. Cut Turner, McAllister, and Wilkerson. I agree with you that these players all down here are going to get cut. And all I want people to do that are part of the nation is I want you to do your own 53-man roster, okay? I want you to go through the entire Raiders roster, and I want you to pick out who makes the team and who gets cut. Because, quite frankly, when you're talking about Tucker and Laube, these guys aren't even in that conversation. To me, if you're going to even consider moving on from some of those players, and there's going to be a lot, I'm talking Amari Burney, Chris Smith. We're looking at dudes that this organization has had, and that I think a lot of people are like, oh, they're going to make the roster no matter what. But you can only keep 53. Tough decisions, tough cuts happen every single offseason. Let's go to CR1ZZ. Xavier to the Raiders post June 1st. If I'm Stephon Gilmore, if I'm Xavier Howard, Steven Nelson, honestly, if I'm a top free agent and I know in my heart of hearts that I can still play at a high level and I'm trying to make the most money possible, the team that I'm waiting on, especially at corner, is the Raiders post June 1st because they're going to get that $24.07 million. And those free agents are going to know, well, didn't you just get a boatload of money? You can pay me, right? I'm telling you right now, if the Raiders make a splash at corner, I really, truly believe it's going to happen after June 1st. I like the question, though. I also love these flipping hats. I have recently just got a corduroy Raiders hat, and it's probably one of the only hats that Alex allows me to wear, when we go out for a nicer date night, because most of the time when I wear a hat, I'm not going to lie to y'all, it's when I don't feel like doing my hair. I just feel like, going out, getting ready as quick as possible. But some of these new Raiders hats that I've gotten, like this one I just got, I can wear this out, and it pairs well with some nice pants, pairs well with a nice shirt. You go out there a little stylish, you're looking pretty good. Go to chatsports.com/Raiders hats. We have hats of all shapes, sizes, snapbacks, fitted, the trucker hat style. There's even some beanies in there if it's still cold for some of y'all out there, even though it's May 9th when I'm making this video. Also, we got the Raiders draft hats. I will tell you this, though. These are going quick, and they might not have the size that you're looking for just because of how many hats have gone for the draft. But I'll also say, I'm a big snapback guy, where if I'm going to get, a gift for somebody, you get somebody a snapback, you don't have to guess the size. Where if you're shopping for me and you got to get me a T-shirt, you're going to be like, hey, what's your T-shirt size? Shoes, pants, all of it, all sizes. With a hat, if you're looking for a fun gift idea, easy gift idea, you don't have to ask the size, get them a hat. Especially a diehard Raider fan out there. Chatsports.com/Raiders hats. Let's go to Stephanie Bowen. What up, Steph? What do you think the win-loss record will be for the season? Do you think that we can make the playoffs with Minshew as a starting quarterback? Yes, I do think the Raiders can make the playoffs as a starting quarterback. And with Gardner Minshew, I'm aiming at 9 to 10 wins. If this team was able to win 8 games last season with McDoofus, with the worst quarterback play in the NFL, like, there's no way the Raiders quarterback play is going to be worse, right? It better not be, right? That's going to result in, let's say, the exact same amount of wins. Defense should be better this season, right? You have Christian Wilkins, second year with this Antonio Pierce, another year with Patrick Graham, should be better, right? I just believe in my heart of hearts, change a quarterback, change a head coach, that should lead to an improvement. And I think a lot of people out there are sleeping on the Raiders because we don't have that quarterback. But you know what? We can win 9-10 games this season, absolutely, and put ourselves in the hunt. Let's go to my man, Team Money. Mitch, should the Raiders sign the WWE and Olympic gold medalist? Chuggs, what was his name again? Because you and I were talking about him earlier.
Gable Stevenson.
Gable Stevenson. All right, so for those that don't know, he wrestled at Minnesota, was an Olympic gold winner. In college, I want to say he was like 67-2.
Yeah, he's 23,
okay.
6'1", 265 pounds.
Not bad.
67-2 in college. 40-6 in senior matches. I don't know what that is. Does that mean you beat up old people?
No, it's just you're like going up against only seniors. Because sometimes like you're going up against freshmen, some of the younger guys. But here's what he looks like. So shout out to Chuggs for finding this one on the real quick. And the other day, I'm wondering if you're saying this because the other day I was like, I'm a sucker for a good offensive lineman that also wrestles. The problem is at 6'1", 265 pounds, the only position he can play is defensive end. And I don't know if he's athletic enough to be a defensive end in the NFL. Like, being a wrestler, great. Being a WWE guy, great. If you told me right now he goes out and he adds 40 pounds and it's good weight, then I will be more interested. And I saw a report that was like multiple NFL teams have called, what was it? What was the name?
Gable Stevenson.
Gable Stevenson asking if he'd be interested. Unless he's putting on weight to play offensive line, I just don't see another position that he could play at the NFL level. Let's go to, wow. Get Stephon Gilmore. I'm not going to lie. Going from that picture, hell, I might be even more inclined to sign Dixon Sider than this Gables guy. In fact, if anything, if y'all want to see a Jello wrestling match, that's the Jello wrestling match that we need. An Olympic gold medalist and then Dixon over here. That would be something to watch. Not gonna lie, that caught me off guard. Agent, how many primetime games do we get this year? I'm gonna guess 5, and that's just the Raiders have a beautiful stadium in Allegiant Stadium. You have your first-year head coach. The quarterback play is going to limit you a little bit, but they do have some star power in Maxx and Devontae Adams. And a lot of times it comes down to who you play. They play a lot of very good teams this season. You're also going up against Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to say 5 primetime games this season for the Silver and Black. Now, man, Trey Diggs. No way. I think Diggs is going to stay where he's at. And if I'm going to trade, like, the problem is, I'm not trading for a corner unless it's somebody of the level of Marshawn Lattimore, and this might be a hot take to some people. I think Trey Diggs is one of the most overrated corners in the NFL. Yes, he gets a lot of interceptions, but he also gets burnt a lot, coming off a season where he didn't play because he's coming off a major injury. If I'm the Raiders, why am I going to trade a... Honestly, if you're going to trade this for the Cowboys, they're probably looking for a first-round pick when I can just go out and sign a Stephon Gilmore and Xavier Howard, pay him much cheaper, and not have to give up any draft capital. Let's go to Electric Eric. Will Rashee Rice play this season? I'll tell you this right now. I don't know who's close to Rashee Rice, but you got to tell him to get the hell out of Dallas. And Chuggs and I have lived in Dallas for a long time. What's sad is you got a guy who's made millions of dollars who right now is just not around the right people. If you don't know, he got into another situation this week. On Monday, I believe it was reported that he got into like a fight or something. Got into a bar fight.
He actually got into a fight at a bar that is two streets away from where we are right now.
Correct. So there was that whole thing that happened, him on Interstate 75. He was driving fast and reckless, and then he ended up leaving that situation. And then 2 weeks later, like after that, a smart human being would go, you know what? I'm going to stay out of trouble. He's just finding himself in bad situations. And if I'm a team like Kansas City, you said this the other day, if I'm Kansas City, I go, hey, here's what you're going to do. You're either going to come back here to Kansas City, lock yourself in a room for 3 months, or we're going to cut you. Because, don't get me wrong, Rashee Rice is a good receiver. But if I'm Patrick Mahomes, if I'm Andy Reid, I go, guess what? You're not Rashee Rice because you're Rashee Rice. I made you Rashee Rice. Like, you put him on any other team, he's not what he is. And if you're Mahomes, I go, give me somebody that gets a lot less baggage. Give me somebody that I don't got to worry about. I don't want to have to deal with that type of stuff. I'll be real with you. I think there is a legitimate chance that he does not play for at least half the season. I think there is a legit chance that he doesn't play half the season. Will Rashee Rice, though, play this season for the Chiefs? Give me a yes. Give me a no. Will Rashee Rice play this season? It's supposed to be for the Chiefs. I still think that he ends up playing, but he is absolutely positively getting suspended. The NFL has suspended players for way less. He is now in a 2-week span, maybe it's 3 weeks, gotten in a lot of trouble. It's not looking good for Rashee Rice, but also FKC. Serge, what are your thoughts on potentially opening the season in Kansas City? The Raider fan in me would be okay with it. I think it's a good competition. Like, why not see what we're going up against right away? It's the last team that beat Kansas City. The only reason why I'm going to say I do not want it to happen is nothing football related, but I am in a wedding it's that Friday. I'm a groomsman in a wedding, and if the Raiders and Chiefs play on Thursday, I'm going to miss a lot of the wedding festivities for one of my best friends. So, not football related, but I do not want the Raiders to play on opening night against Kansas City. Sean, if Aiden O'Connell gets better with pocket awareness and minimal scrambling, do you think he could have potential? Potential? I guess what's the question for potential? Like, do I think Aiden O'Connell can be a low-end starting quarterback in the NFL? Yes. Do I think AOC is ever going to be a top 16 QB in the NFL? No. Like, I guess it's what is potential now, because there's a lot of people out there that think that Aiden already is a top 32 quarterback. I hate to break it to you. There's nobody that's not a Raider fan thinks that Aiden O'Connell's a top 32 quarterback. So do I think he has potential to be like talked about the way that we talk about Gardner Minshew? Yeah, like I do. He's going to get more reps. He's going to get more opportunity, and he's going to end up being, if he keeps on getting more playing time in the National Football League, he could absolutely turn into a guy that we talk about like a Gardner Minshew. I mean, I've said before, he reminds me of Brian Hoyer. Not the Brian Hoyer that the Raiders had, but the Brian Hoyer of what he was for a 15-year NFL pro, where nobody wanted to start Brian Hoyer. But if you needed to start a QB, you would throw him out there. And he had a long, successful NFL career being a backup because he's smart and he's good enough to get it done. But, like, no, I mean, if you're hoping that you can find, if Aiden could turn into a top 25 quarterback by the end of the season, I would say that is a really good job by AOC and this coaching staff. Now, remember, if I didn't get to your question, you can always hit me up on Instagram or on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. I know we do a lot of these type of shows when we go live. I know that not everybody can get those questions in, but remember, if Chuggs or I miss your question, please do not hesitate. DM me on social media at Mitchell Renz 365. All right, we got one more question flown in here. Evil Mitch, which quarterback would you draft in the next class? Rank them. This is such a tough question, just because so much stuff can change. I would say the top quarterbacks are like Shador, Carson Beck's going to be a name that gets thrown out there a lot. I love me some Cam Ward. I want to see what he looks like down in the U. I'll also say this, though. I have been a bigger fan of Shador Sanders over the past, week and a half. The shit he's been saying. I don't want a quarterback that is so full of himself and thinks that his shit doesn't stink and thinks that he walks on water, because if you haven't seen some of the interviews Shador has been doing, I think they are very, very worrisome traits for if you want a team leader. I want a guy that puts team before me, right? Like, Maxx Crosby is a dog because he puts Raiders above everything else. Don't get me wrong. He's out there working. He's grinding. He's making guys better. What I don't want is a QB like Shador Sanders who thinks that he's better than the Raiders. And hearing the way that he's been talking, I think if he were to be drafted by the Raiders, he's like, I come before the Raiders. And I don't want that. So until the season starts, it is way too early to even answer this question. But I like the shtick there, Evil Mitch. Well, Well appreciated.